So I'm here in Rhinelander, and I just had this incredible encounter. I don't know if you can see him. See that older guy over there? There he is in that truck. That guy's name is Jim Rollman. And when I was married to my ex, we were friends with him. And you know, this is what's so incredible about this encounter. He was in line, and I saw he's old, much older, and he kind of loitered after he checked out. He was in front of me, and then he turned to me, and he says, and he was, and here he is, like outside the store, and he's like, "Are you Stacy? Are you Stacy Shup's wife?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, he's like, "Jim Rollman." I said, "Oh, you gotta be joking." I said, "You gotta be joking." So we just immediately started talking. You know, how are you and where you been? And I told him, you know, what I'm doing here in Wisconsin, you know, caring for my mom, helping my brother out, and I said, you know, I'm a medical missionary. He's like, what's that? I said, "Oh, I work for the Lord." And he got the biggest grin, and I couldn't believe it. He is a believer. And this is why I really want to talk about this real quickly, because when me and my ex were married, we knew him I don't know how many years, and I never knew he was a believer. He was telling me, he's like, "Do you manifest the Holy Spirit?" I was like, "Holy Spirit, I know the Holy Spirit dwells in me, and that I can't do anything without the Holy Spirit. He guides me, and he teaches me, and when I have these encounters, it's truly the Holy Spirit." And he says, "Well, like, who do you identify with?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm a Christian, but I really identify with the Adventists, because line upon line, precept upon precept, they're the ones that really," and I'm a Sabbath keeper. And so he doesn't also, you know, he does Bible fellowship. I love that. And there's a church, but he really doesn't go to it. But he says, you know, they do Bible study. And I'm like, this is just so cool, because here he is. I'm like, keep looking at him, and I'm just shaking my head like, what a blast from the past. And then, you know, I asked him, and he says, you know, I'm still living on the river, which is just crazy. You know, he still hunts and fishes, and he still traps. And so I said, you know what? Can you coming out? And he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming out with you." And I said, "I want to give you something." So I come in here, and I said, you know, I don't have a house, I don't have an apartment, I have my car. And this is kind of my traveling thing, because I told him kind of, you know, what I do, and he was just amazed. And so I was giving him these books, you know, Desire of Ages, Steps to Christ. I said, "Get this to whoever doesn't know the Lord." And I said, "Oh, and there's a great controversy." And I said, "Oh, it's all about, you know, the Reformation and Protestantism, and then it goes into the prophetic." And he's like, "You're going to give me all these?" I said, "Oh, absolutely." He said, "Well, can I give you something?" I said, "Absolutely not," because this is what I do. And I said, "The Lord is so good." And he's smiling. He's got this big smile, and he's like, "You're glowing." He says, "I can tell." He says, "You are glowing with the Lord." And to hear that from someone who knew the old me. And I said, you know, it's just embarrassing who I used to be. And he says, "Oh, don't." He says, don't feel bad. We all, right? We all come from someplace, right? We all have a past. But, you know, he knew me. And I'm like, God has transformed my life. He says, "I can tell." So anyway, I wanted to share that. Jim Rollman. Blast from the past. I love it. And that was just confirmation that, man, to have someone from my past really see God glowing in my face and in my countenance, that made my evening.